Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hi guys, and welcome to 1minutetennis.com. You ever feel that your forehand has no real speed in it? That no matter how hard you swing at the ball, no matter how much effort you put in, the ball just seems to crawl off the racket with no real penetration. I want to show you why that happens and how you can correct it. And I want to talk about the difference between a live arm, a living forehand, and a dead arm and a dying forehand. To understand how to hit the ball harder, we have to have an understanding of what really happens when the best players in the world are striking a ground stroke, and particularly a forehand. And at the beginning of the stroke, they coil the body. So the body makes the initial movement of the stroke. And then the arm fires the racket forwards. So the second movement is with the arm. And then the racket overtakes the arm. And this is the part where almost everybody watching this video will get it wrong. The racket overtakes the arm, and now it's the racket that's pulling the arm. And the arm is now pulling the body. So the body initiates, the arm follows, the racket follows, and then the racket overtakes everything, and it's the initiating and driving force of the stroke. It's a little bit like pushing a car up a hill. If you push the car up the hill, it's hard work, but when you get to the top of the hill, it's almost impossible to stop the car going down the hill. So there's a great deal of difference between the stage where you're pushing the car up the hill and the stage where you're following the car down the hill. And all of this is great in theory, but how do we change from holding onto the racket and controlling the racket throughout the stroke to having a free, live and powerful racket that's now pulling us through the stroke? So first of all, let's look at the difference between a live and a dead arm. So I'm going to hold the racket here and see how the hand and the racket are moving in the same direction. So the hand is leading and the racket is following. But now I'm going to find a live arm, and I don't think you should move on to hitting the forehand until you find the live arm. So what's the difference? See, now the racket is leading and the hand is following. See how they're moving in different directions. A dead arm and a live arm. A dead arm and a live arm. Now that I have the feeling of the live arm, I'm going to go into the preparation for my forehand and feel the live arm. And the racket is leading the hand. The hand is leading the racket. The racket is leading the hand. Now I'm going to find the live arm and initiate the stroke. And now I'm going to reverse engineer. I want the feeling of the wrong way. It'll be the most familiar feeling for everybody watching this video. Now the hand is leading the racket and I have the dead arm. The racket is leading the hand. I have the live arm and I have a living forehand. I have a dead arm and I have a dead forehand. When you can get the feeling of the live arm and the racket leading the hand, then the racket truly does become alive, and it will add energy and power into the forehand, and the stroke becomes much more effortless. If you have difficulty in finding the live arm, then look for the difference between rocking the racket in your hand and bouncing the racket. See here, I'm rocking the racket and my hand and the racket are one and the same. But now if I stop the wrist moving, see, rocking, the wrist is moving. If I stop the wrist moving, now I bounce the racket in my hand. The rocking motion, the bouncing motion. The rocking motion, the bouncing motion. And now, as I take the racket back, I can feel the bounce, and I have a live and free arm, and I have a living forehand that is actually going to develop its own power, its own speed and its own spin. It's not me forcing it, it's happening. And now the natural progression is to hit tennis balls, but reproducing this feeling of a live arm as early as possible in the actual stroke. So right in the heart of the take back, I want the feeling of the live, loose and free arm. So add the live arm, add the living forehand to your game, and you'll have a bigger and better forehand. This is totally counterintuitive, but when you can master this, then the power is effortless and the stroke is so vastly improved. If you like this idea, then check out online coaching. I'm helping players over 40 countries with a unique one-to-one tennis consultation service. We do video analysis, but then personalized one-to-one lessons online. It's a unique service and it really works. And check out our books. We have books on every aspect of the game, and the books are broken down into the science and biomechanics of the stroke, and then super simple solutions such as this, helping you to be the best that you possibly can be. So don't compromise for a dead forehand. Make a slow, cumbersome and hard-working stroke a thing of the past. Find the live arm, use the living forehand, and you'll have a better stroke in your game. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for more unique tennis lessons that really work.